Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a truly wild internet mystery. We're going to unpack Marcia Ramalho's massive, incredibly viral documentary called Aether. Our goal today is to systematically break down this sweeping 2.5-hour narrative and explore the intense world building that has managed to captivate so many people online. Okay, let's dive into this. 505,233. That is the view count this incredibly dense, highly specific documentary has racked up. I mean, it's a massive footprint, and it really establishes the sheer scale and viral impact of this whole internet phenomenon. We're not just talking about some quiet, forgotten corner of the web here. It's a sprawling ecosystem of viewers who are just intensely engaged with a radically different version of human history. And you know, that massive footprint really caused a ripple effect. The documentary's creator, Marcia Ramalho, actually pointed out the explosive impact of her work. She stated that the original release was responsible for, quote, starting a frantic race of Western YouTubers. Words like Aether, Tartaria, star fortresses, healing pipe organ sound, power stations, free energy instantly became recurrent talk. Basically, this specific documentary acted like a giant catalyst. It spawned a huge wave of content creators and dedicated Facebook groups, all of them dissecting alternative architecture and this whole concept of lost empires. So here is our roadmap for making sense of this massive alternate history today. 1. The viral phenomenon. 2. The White Federation. 3. Technologies of the Aether. 4. Architecture as energy. And 5. The Parasite War. We're going to systematically walk through this sprawling theory using thematic world building, just so we can easily make sense of the whole shebang. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the viral phenomenon. To really grasp the impact here, we kind of have to look at the timeline of the documentary's release. Back in 2018, the very first edition of Aether dropped, and it quickly hit an impressive 245,000 views. Fast forward to September 2020, and a new, massively expanded edition was released, this time packed with over 1,000 images to visually back up all these claims. And today, well, this has snowballed into ongoing global discussions on hidden architecture. The theory just kept expanding over time, building this massive visual library to support its alternate reality. Moving right along to Section 2, the White Federation. So the source material really hinges on one central concept, and that is the White Federation. Sometimes the documentary calls it the previous civilization, but basically, it's posited as this highly advanced, steam-powered global confederation of states. It's super important to note that this is the theory presented directly by the documentary itself. It's this vision of a unified, utopian global society that supposedly existed right before our current recorded history. And the creations attributed to this civilization are, quite frankly, fantastic. The documentary dedicates lengthy segments to things like sprawling white star cities and actual airborne flying cities. It posits a reality where massive airships, stargates, and, get this, even teleportation were just the norm. It presents all of this not as science fiction, but as the actual lost reality of the White Federation. Which brings us to Section 3, Technologies of the Aether. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the documentary unleashes just an overwhelming barrage of technological buzzwords, systematically reassigning complex theoretical physics to ancient infrastructure. For instance, it proposes that frequencies and sound waves actually fueled healing pipe organs. It claims electromagnetic fields and ions were used to generate free energy and power star fortresses. And those historical structures that we conventionally call power stations, well, the theory claims they were actually powered by fusion reactors and coils. To further build out this lore, the narrative relies heavily on some seriously cutting-edge terminology. Words like torus, tokamak, vortex, and tuned circuits. It weaves all of these together to try and ground its highly speculative claims in the language of advanced suppressed physics. All right, let's jump to Section 4, Architecture as Energy. And this brilliantly illustrates the central premise of the Aether theory, the real visual hook. Conventionally, we look at magnificent historical monuments and see them as decorative, right? Commemorative. But through the Aether lens, these very same structures are suddenly towering power stations, massive energy capacitors, and giant antennas. It's this grand sci-fi reinterpretation of the very streets we walk on every single day. The video actually gets highly specific, dedicating entire chapters to re-evaluating places you might know, like the Berlin Zoo, the Victory Column, Hohenzollern Castle, and yes, even modern skyscrapers. It's literally inviting you to look out your own window and question the origin of your city's architecture, claiming that all of it is actually remnant advanced technology. Finally, we reach Section 5, the Parasite War. Because every grand narrative needs a good antagonist, right? In the Aether lore, they are known simply as the Parasites. The documentary alleges that this shadowy group completely destroyed the previous civilization, specifically to erase its advanced technology from human memory. The entire narrative relies heavily on these mysterious antagonists to explain why there's a total absence of the White Federation today.
The claimed destruction is incredibly calculated and methodical. Step 1. Deploy devastating plasma weapons against the White Federation. Step 2. Engineer massive global floods to wash away the remnants. And Step 3. The final phase. A complete erasure of their history, replacing it entirely with the historical timeline we are all taught in schools today. Basically, they supposedly hit a giant apocalyptic reset button on civilization.
Let's move to and see how this builds across the documentary's runtime, because you can really feel the tension escalating. The final hour absolutely zeroes in on the conflict's aftermath. At minute 98, it hits us with the architects of war. By minute 131, it shifts to the ruins left behind in the power stations. And it all culminates around minute 146 with a solemn reflection on the advanced previous civilization. The pacing is completely intentional, building up to this dramatic reveal of a stolen, lost world. So, having unpacked all of this, we really have to ask ourselves a crucial question. Why? Why has this deeply intricate alternate history sparked such a frantic race of content creation today? Why are hundreds of thousands of people dedicating hours of their lives to learning about plasma weapons and hidden Aether technology? Ultimately, I think it taps into a really profound human desire to find hidden majesty, magic, and mystery in the everyday buildings we just walk past on our morning commute. This explainer really goes to show just how powerful world building can be, how it can transform a totally normal city block into a remnant of a sci-fi utopia. It leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought. Maybe the immense popularity of this theory isn't really about uncovering the past at all. Maybe it's actually about our modern craving for a much more magical world. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.